My friends, are you a Christian? Do you think you're ever going to have peace with Islam? Allow me to disabuse you of that notion. My name's Howard Riell. This is Real Truth. Item from Christian Today. One of the survivors of the massacre of 29 Egyptian Christians in Minya in May said that the Islamic State extremists forced the women off the bus and ordered them to renounce their faith in Christ, but the Copts refused. Financial Times reported on Tuesday that Mariam Adel, a young mother whose husband and 9 of her relatives were killed in the attack, has been speaking from her hospital bed about the terrorist group's attack. Adele said the jihadists opened fire with machine guns at the bus carrying the Christians traveling to a desert monastery before getting on board to kill any men left alive. As for the women, the radicals ordered them off the bus and told them to convert to Islam. Renounce our faith? Of course not, Adele said of the women's reaction. If we had, they might have let us off the bus and treated us well. But we only want Jesus, and we are confident he will not leave us. In response, ISIS robbed the women of their gold jewelry and mobile phones, taking what they described as the spoils of war. Other survivors of the Minya massacre, such as 10-year-old schoolboy Mina Habib, have also opened up about their harrowing experience. Habib, whose father was one of ISIS's victims, told Reuters in June, quote, "They asked my father for identification, then told him to recite the Muslim profession of faith. He refused, said he was a Christian. They shot him and everyone else with us in the car." The boy added every time they shot someone, they would yell, "God is great, Allahu Akbar, stop." My friends, the threat posed by Islam draws together Christians and Jews and Buddhists and Jains and every other religion in the world, because Islam hates every other religion in the world except Islam. And by the way, the different groups in Islam, they hate each other too. So if you're laboring under any notion that in the future things will be better, once they've been in America for a while, they'll calm down, they'll learn to be civilized, not going to happen. And so this very quickly devolves down into a discussion about survival. Because I'll tell you, Europe is not surviving with all its Muslim immigrants. Europe is changing. Europe is burning. Europe is devolving into Dark Ages chaos. It's going to happen here if we keep voting for Democrats and if we keep saying, all religions are alike. It's Wednesday. It's Real Truth. Not all talk shows are alike. I'll be right back.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, ordain and establish this Constitution. American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little ones at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228. Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
My friends, are you pissed off over what's happening with healthcare? I am too. And so is President Donald Trump. Welcome back to Real Truth. I'm Howard Riell. Trump sat down today with GOP senators basically to whip their asses and say, hey, represent the American people. Work for the American people. Don't just sit there on your fat cat backsides and collect government salaries and pensions and benefits. Here's Donald Trump addressing said GOP senators earlier today. My friends, as you're watching this video, I'll put it up on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. Sitting to Donald Trump's right is Dean Heller from Nevada, who is opposed to the Senate health care proposal. Mr. Heller, you have got to get your head out of your ass. Is the proposal perfect? No. But it needs to be passed, and then you can make it perfect. He and others who are going to vote against this thing are acting as if this is it. This is what we'll have forever, Mr. Heller and the others. It is not. Take the step. Show the American people that you want to make things better, and then progressively, month by month, work on it, hone it, perfect it. Back to the president. So what the Democrats are saying by being obstructionists is that we don't care if America burns. We don't care if people are crippled by Titanic deductibles and healthcare costs. We don't care about the American people. We care about the Democratic Party. So tell me, my listeners, whether you're listening on radio or on YouTube, how the hell would you ever vote for a Democrat again, knowing that they don't give a rip about you or your family or about this country? How can you vote for Democrats when they won't lift a finger to do, to accomplish, to improve? Nothing. They're like the spoiled child sitting on the sidewalk with his arms crossed, holding his breath, refusing to walk. You're going to vote for that? Are you really that stupid? I hate to think you are. I hate to think anybody listening to my show is that dumb, but I'll post this video on my Facebook page. I want you to watch it. I want you to share it. And I want you to learn from it. Trump is leading this country. He's trying to drag the GOP with him. And he's already had to give up on bringing the Democrats with him because they just won't help. It's an unprecedented time in America. And the choice between Democrat and Republican has never been clearer. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more Real Truth.
Riell power has been providing a reliable electrical power system in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities, modern emergency lighting, all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainsolar.com.
The Lord makes the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is Lord. The people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to Real Truth. Howard Riell. Now for something a little bit different. There's a woman who posts videos on Facebook, Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. That's what she calls herself. She doesn't give her name. She went to the University of Missouri, which has become the very personification of the liberal snowflake Twinkie University. It's everything that's dying and almost dead in American education. Here she is inveighing against Mizzou, and she'll tell you why. No mystery about it. I'll put this one up on my Facebook page too. Here we go. Give a listen. My friends, the bottom line is this. Mizzou, you remember, Mizzou was in the news last year. They had some kind of a rally outdoors, and some guy was videotaping it, and one of the professors at Mizzou came over and told him to stop. And when he wouldn't stop, she called for people to come over and throw the guy out of this open meeting, this outdoor meeting. That's Mizzou. That's liberalism. And that's so much of what's wrong with this country today. And so, now that students are going away from Mizzou, and Mizzou is having to close dorms and other buildings, they're going broke, and deservedly so. If you've got kids going off to college, check out the college they're going to. And I mean check it out thoroughly. If it's one of these bastions of liberalism, the kid you get back from school is not going to be the kid you sent there. He won't like you anymore, won't like the way you live, won't like the way you think. He'll resent you for having raised him in any way other than this liberal snowflake mindset. If the college is a liberal place and they're going to indoctrinate kids with all kinds of nonsense, don't give them your money. More importantly, don't give them your children. There are a lot of traps in life. This is a big one. So for your sake and your children's sake, don't send your kids to colleges like that. Item from the Daily Caller. 3 prominent Democratic senators declined to withdraw their support for a women's march after the organization declared support for Assata Shakur, a convicted cop killer and domestic terrorist on the FBI's most wanted list. Senators Kamala Harris, Dianne Feinstein, and Kirsten Gillibrand have all been enthusiastic supporters of Women's March. As reported by the Daily Caller, the organization declared its support over the weekend for Shakur, who fled to Cuba after escaping from the prison where she was serving a life sentence. Shakur, the Women's March said, is a, quote, sign of resistance, unquote. My friends, same question I asked you before. The Democrats are staunchly in support of Black Lives Matter. They're staunchly in support of this cop killer, Assata Shakur. And so if you support the Democrats, you support Black Lives Matter and cop killer Assata Shakur. Do you really want that on your conscience? When the day comes, you leave this world and you stand before your maker and he says, hey, what about that? What's your answer going to be? What's your answer going to be? It's got to be smart, people. I've said it before. America has run out of time for stupidity. We've got to get smarter. Item from TheIntercept.com. Mitch McConnell became the leader of Senate Republicans at the precise moment it stopped mattering. It was January 3rd, 2007. The Democrats had just swept both the House and Senate in a wave election that was a thorough rejection of the GOP in Washington. Even though the Bush administration had 2 years left, McConnell would be doing no governing from the minority during that time. Next came the election of Barack Obama and McConnell's now famous decision to oppose anything his administration offered with as much solidarity as could be mustered. With only 40 members to keep in line, he kept his conference largely together, though one glaring exception was losing Pennsylvania's Arlen Specter, not just on the stimulus, but as a Republican altogether. In April 2009, Specter became a Democrat, giving the party 59 senators. When Al Franken was finally sworn in July following an endless recount, Democrats briefly held a filibuster-proof majority. The question now is whether Specter was the exception that proved the rule of McConnell's skill and leadership or a forecast of things to come. Unquote. My friends, Mitch McConnell is the very face of the wealthy, elitist, let-them-eat-cake rhinos in the GOP. Anything he accomplishes, he will need to be forced to accomplish. He's fat, he's wealthy, he's privileged. I don't care if he's a Republican. He doesn't give a rat's ass about you or me. You know what? Call his office in D.C., light a fire on, call the office, talk to his people, light a fire under him and say, hey, I'm a Republican. I want Mitch McConnell to get up off his ass and do something. Stand with President Trump. Call McConnell's office and tell him that. And while you got the phone in your hand, call Paul Ryan's office also. Tell him the same thing. Item from RealClimateScience.com. DDT, global cooling, China syndrome, ozone hole, global warming, climate change. The left moves seamlessly from one world-ending snake oil scam to another. In 1992, they blamed the ozone hole on President Bush and said it was going to kill us all. NASA predicted an ozone hole over North America that winter and said, quote, "It's far worse than we thought." There never was a northern hemisphere ozone hole, and the one over Antarctica has not changed in size since the CFC ban was implemented, unquote. So, my friends, all the climate idiots on the left who tell you the world's about to end, well, I already told you they're idiots, right? Item from Breitbart. New Office for National Statistics figures show that mothers born outside the United Kingdom accounted for 28.2% of live births in England and Wales in 2016. Of the 696,271 live births in England and Wales recorded for the year, almost 200,000 were the mothers who were themselves born outside the United Kingdom, the highest proportion on record, unquote. So why is this important? Good question. What they're doing is they're importing people, mostly from the Middle East, almost exclusively from the Middle East, to replace the population of Europe. Europe in the not-too-distant future will be Muslim. Now, Europe mostly can burn as far as I'm concerned. Problem is, what's happening there is happening here also. Item from Breitbart. Germany has seen a massive increase in the number of women and girls affected by female genital mutilation as a result of mass migration from Africa and the Middle East. Stop, my friends, that's just what I told you. They're bringing this third world, dark ages population into Europe, and it's like pouring sludge into clean water. It's like all those factories. Remember back in the 60s and 70s, people used to walk with signs in their hands? Factories were dumping their sludge into otherwise pristine streams and rivers. Well, finally, we put a stop to it as much as is possible. But that's what's happening on a human scale in Europe. The sludge is pouring in, poisoning everything. By the way, it's happening here too. Let's see. Women's rights NGO called Terra de Femme estimates around 58,000 women living in Germany have undergone the procedure, and that 13,000 more are at risk. Figures which have risen by 10,000 and 4,000 respectively since 2016. Due to the influx of migrants from countries like Eritrea, Somalia, and Iraq, we're seeing an enormous increase in the number of women and vulnerable girls affected, said Terra de Femme employee Charlotte Riell, reports Der Spiegel online. It's therefore all the more important to raise awareness on this issue in Germany and to engage with communities in which FGM, female genital mutilation, is practiced so as to protect vulnerable young girls, unquote. Wrong! The goal is not to raise awareness in Muslim communities. The goal is not to let people know about what's going on in Muslim communities. The goal is to get the hell rid of Muslim communities. Short of that, this won't stop. Violence won't stop. Sexual molestation in the streets won't stop. Burning cars won't stop. Terrorism won't stop. All right, take a break and we'll be back. More Real Truth ahead.
Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com, and now it's just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products. The most plainpower.com or call 877-288-9116. Riell Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rochester area since 1992. Power systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities as modest as emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainsolar.com. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. I am still Howard Riell, and you know, I had such intense waves of pleasure listening to Donald Trump paddle the backsides of these fat cat GOP senators that I'm going to go back to that video. I pasted it up on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. You can see it. I've got several minutes left on this video. Trump is really tearing them a new one, and it's oh so necessary. Let's go back to the president. My friends, how long has it been that you've been waiting for a president to speak that way to senators? That is real truth. Donald Trump just laid a ton of real truth on these guys, and by having this event televised, he's put them in the national eye. It's time for them to get up off their backsides. Forget the endless vacation time they enjoy. Let them stick around and hammer this out. You heard the details of the plan. It's a vast improvement over what we have today. Vote for it. Support it. If it's not perfect, okay, we'll make it perfect down the road. We'll continue to improve it. But get it passed. Because Americans are watching these Republicans flounder and flubber and fluster and thinking these jackasses are no different than the Democrats. And you know what? As long as they're accomplishing nothing, those people are right. I said before, there's no more time left for stupidity. That includes senators and congressmen. They've had their entire careers to line their own pockets at the expense of the American people. It stops now. Now that we have a real president, it's got to stop. And we have to see to it that it stops. Get on that phone. Call your senator. Call your congressman. Support Trump's bill. Vote for the bill before you now. We want it passed now. Take a break and we'll be back, my friends. Stick around.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Herb.
Well, it had to happen. When Colorado legalized marijuana, most people thought the Green Herb was a marijuana dispensary. Also, it was legalized on January the 1st, 2014. The same day we opened our new location at 4565 Kipling Street, 1.5 blocks south of I-70. There are 83,000 cars a day passing in front of our new location on Kipling Street. Most of them thought we were a marijuana dispensary. So we changed the name of our retail store to New Genesis Health, but we kept the name of Green Herb Supplements. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. And be sure to listen to the Healthy Nature Show with Linda Phillips every Tuesday at 1 p.m.
Now this is the testimony of John, the Jews and priests and Levites from Jerusalem, to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter might be able to find. No one anywhere is more noble, righteous, ethical, and courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families with the bill for our freedom every day. Send the military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associate at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they hit.
And speaking of Donald Trump paddling the backsides of the Republicans in the Senate, this is exactly what Sean Hannity on Fox News was talking about, 12, 13 hours ago. Here's what he had to say. Give a listen. Yada, 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 yada. My friends, remember 100 years ago when Donald Trump was running for president? And he said politicians talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but they get nothing done. This is it. This is what he was talking about. Trump has done everything that a president can do to repeal and replace Obamacare. And the swamp, the politicians on the right as well as on the left, they talk, they yammer, they promise, they filibuster, and they do what? They do nothing. This is why Trump is absolutely essential. Because there will be no one to call these guys on the carpet if we have a politician in the White House instead of a real honest-to-goodness leader. This is why Trump's election was so vital. These guys are do-nothing elitist phonies, and he's telling them that to their faces. I've waited my entire life to find a president who would do that. Here's the most powerful man in the world, and he's speaking truth to power. Still don't think we're living in paradoxical times? Here's a multi-billionaire, and he is a man of the people. While these hack politicians couldn't care less about the people. That's why Trump is essential. Oh, we only got 2 minutes. Let's go back to the video. Yes! Yes, Sean, you got it! That's exactly what it's been. It is a fraud perpetrated against the American people for decades. The American people thought they had representative government. No way. The big lobbying firms have representatives in government. The huge corporations have representatives in government. The special interests have representation. We don't. Only now we do, because we elected Trump. He is representing us and doing a great job of it. Now he's got to put the lash to the backs of these fat cat senators. There's no other way. Embarrass them, humiliate them, force them to take decisive action on behalf of the American people, and that's exactly what Trump is doing. It's what Hannity's doing. It's what I'm doing. It's what Rush and Levin and Coulter are doing. What about you, listeners? Are you taking action to see to it that the Trump agenda gets pushed forward? Well, if you're not, you better start. Not for my sake. Don't do it for me. Do it for your sake. Do it for your children's sake. Do it for your fellow Americans' sakes. Do it for the sake of the United States of America. Because when good people are silent, it's the no-goodniks who carry the day. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish up with Real Truth. There we go. There's the music. We'll be right back.
his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. We live the blocker plan that reminds us that the drug problem is well done. We know our kids will be prosperity. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had strength and know the drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from over to the blocker plant located at 366 Grand Street in the Wood. Serving our area since 1943, specializing in natural life HB and pork and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. 303-688-2240.
Item from the Daily Wire. Here are the top issues of the day in America that Americans say they care about, according to a survey taken. Number one, healthcare. 35% of Americans say they care about that issue. Unemployment and jobs, 13%. Terrorism, 11%. Immigration, 10%. Climate change, 10%. Relationship with Russia, 6%. So now you got to tell me, friends, because I'm from Brooklyn. What the hell do I know? 6% of Americans say they care about this relationship with Russia business, and yet it's all they blare on CNN and MSNBC and CNBC and ABC and NBC and CBS. It's all you hear about. They're missing 94% of the population. Item from Breitbart. Syrian origin, 31-year-old Gabriel Chabo claims he was severely beaten by a group of Syrian migrants in the Swedish town of Södertälje after the men claimed he was homosexual. Stop. Where are the gay rights advocates? You know, the guys who are always insulting you and me because we don't use the right pronoun when referring to somebody, transgender, what have you, because where are they? Muslims are beating and killing gays, and gays' mouths are closed, which is probably not a bad thing for their mouths to be. Item also from Breitbart. A man accused of an Islamophobic hate crime by a Muslim on Twitter has denied the assault, insisting the story was made up and that he and his partner were, in fact, racially abused by the other party. Quote. Well, let's continue with it. A Muslim woman, 18, and her Christian friend say a man tore off her hijab and spat in her face. After identifying him online, they contacted his employer demanding action and called him a racist. The man has since strongly denied the claims, insisting he merely broke up a fight started when his black girlfriend was attacked by the Muslim woman and her friends. Unquote. My friends, where Islam goes, so does violence. Item from the Gatestone Institute. Muslim supremacists seem to have fantasies as well as a long history of converting Christian sites to Islamic ones. Take, for example, Saint Denis, the Gothic cathedral named for the first Christian bishop of Paris, who was buried there in the year 250, and the burial place of Charles Martel, whose victory stopped the Muslim invasion of France in 732. Now, according to the scholar Gilles Capel, this burial place of most of France's kings and queens is the Mecca in Islam of France. The French Islamists are dreaming of taking it over and replacing the church bells with the call of the Muezzin. Unquote. Item from InfoWars. To say that something in Minneapolis seems sketchy would be a disservice to all things sketchy. Something is seriously odd about the Minnesota shooting death of Justine Damond by a police officer originally from Somalia named Mohammed Noor. Unquote. Item from the London Express. A man has plowed into crowds in Sweden near a busy shopping district with the driver said to be holding a gas canister. Unquote. My friends, we'll stop there. You're going to see this happen here too. You're going to see it all happen in America. All these outrages that I report on and that we don't care about because they're happening in France and they're happening in Sweden and they're happening in Germany. Wait! they are increasingly coming here. And just by coincidence, the number and frequency of these attacks goes up as our Muslim population goes up. You believe in coincidence, my friends? Neither do I. I'll be back tomorrow with more real truth. Until then, hasta luego.